Hi everyone, this is Sarfraz from Aristotle Prep, and we are looking at question 70 from the OG 13 Critical Reasoning chapter. This is a difficult question, by the way, and it is a question that is testing you on causality. I keep talking about this term causality. Uh, the thing is, if after reading the argument you understand that you are being tested on causality, then it is not a very difficult question. But the thing is, most students don't even realize that they are being tested on causality, and hence they struggle on this particular question. So let's read the stimulus and see what is this causality that I'm talking about. The stimulus says a community activist is saying if Morganville wants to keep its central shopping district healthy, it should prevent the opening of a huge save all discount department store on the outskirts of Morganville. Okay, why should it do so? Because records from other small towns show that whenever Save All has opened a store outside the central shopping district of a small town, as it is going to in Morganville, within 5 years, the town has experienced the bankruptcies of more than a quarter of the stores in the shopping district. So the community activist is saying that wherever Save All opens its store, 25% of stores in that shopping district go bankrupt, which is why Save All should not be allowed to open a store in Morganville. So the community activist is assuming that the only reason for the bankruptcies which take place is Save All, that the cause is Save All and the effect is bankruptcy, and nothing else could be causing those bankruptcies. That's the causality in the argument. The question stem says the answer to which of the following would be most useful for evaluating the community activist reasoning. The only way to evaluate the reasoning is to get the answer to the question, is it Save All which was responsible for those bankruptcies, or is it something else that could have been responsible for those bankruptcies? That's the way to evaluate the argument. So let's go through the options. A says, have community activists in other towns successfully campaigned against the opening of a Save All store on the outskirts of their towns? Whether they have been successful or unsuccessful makes no difference to our argument. B says, do a large percentage of residents of Morganville currently do almost all of their shopping at stores in Morganville? This is a very popular choice for answer in this particular question. But it doesn't make any difference. You see, irrespective of the answer to this question, the argument still stands. What I mean is, okay, let's try answering the question. So the question is, do a large percentage of residents of Morganville currently shop in Morganville? I say yes, a large percentage shops in Morganville. So should Save All open or not open? You will say it should not open because then the large percentage which shops at Morganville will now shop at Save All. Okay, fair enough. What if the answer to this question is the opposite? That no, a large percentage of residents do not shop at Morganville. Say only 20% of the residents shop at Morganville. Then should Save All be allowed to open? Well, you will say it should still not be allowed to open because as it is only 20% of shopping over here, if Save All opens, even they will go away. So you see, irrespective of the answer to option B, Save All should not be allowed to open. But that is not the idea. If you're evaluating the argument, if you go one way, Save All should be allowed to open. If the answer goes the other way, Save All should not be allowed to open. When you talk about option B, whichever be the answer, either of the two answers, in both the cases, Save All should not be allowed to open. So B can't be the answer to the question. C says, in towns with healthy shopping districts, what proportion of the stores in those districts suffer bankruptcy during a typical 5-year period? Now that is looking like the correct answer. And the reason is, you see, you are assuming that the only reason for bankruptcies of stores in the towns where Save All has opened in the last 5 years is Save All. What if the reason was something else? So it says, in towns with healthy shopping districts, what proportion of stores suffer bankruptcy during a typical 5-year period? These are towns in general. These are not towns where Save All has opened. So if the answer to this question is the normal bankruptcy rate is something like 25% or 30%, then the opening of Save All could not be or may not be the reason for bankruptcies because your normal bankruptcy rate only is 25-30%. However, if the answer is the normal bankruptcy rate is something like 5% or 10%, then Save All could very well be the reason for the increased bankruptcy rate in those places in those districts where save all has opened. So you see, depending on which way the answer goes, if your answer is 25-30% is the normal bankruptcy rate, then save all is not responsible for bankruptcies. Let save all open its store in Morganville. However, if your answer is the normal bankruptcy rate is 5 or 10%, then save all could very well be responsible for bankruptcies, so save all should not be allowed to open. So whenever you have an evaluate question, this is how you check. If the answer goes one way, then you will get one conclusion. If the answer goes the other way, you will get an opposite conclusion. You can't get the same conclusion both ways, otherwise what are you evaluating? So C is the answer to the question because it brings in some other causes. What the causes are, we have no idea, but just brings in the thought that there could be some other causes as well for the same effect. We'll look at the other two options also. D says, what proportion of the employees at the Save All store on the outskirts of Morganville? There's a typo over there. I see a lot of typos on my slides. Please excuse that. What proportion of the employees at the Save All store on the outskirts of Morganville will be drawn from Morganville? Irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant. The argument is not about employment generation. He says, do newly opened Save All stores ever lose money? Whether they make money or lose money is not of any concern to us. Our concern is whether Save All is causing bankruptcies or not. So C is the answer to the question, and I hope you understood why B is not the answer to the question. In case you did not, use the comment section below to ask your question, and I will try to explain it again by typing it out. Have a nice day.